My name's Calvin Waite, and I trade Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for a living. Ladies and gentlemen, look what we have here. This is the green zone. We are back. We've had our nice, awesome green zone here, pulled up our averages, and then we had our yellow zone where we were below the 50, and crossing above the 50 was a big step, but getting the angle of the 50 and the 100 to both arc upward is what we were missing. So we are officially in the green zone again, and I can't tell you how good that is. I'm going to zoom out a lot. When we were in our last bull market in 2017, we had these switches from green to yellow to white, green, yellow, white. And this propelled us all the way through the entire thing. So once we get out of the red zone and the yellow zone, these red-yellow sections, and we start switching over to green, yellow, white, that is what we are looking for. So if you can see, we are now starting the green, yellow, white, and now we're back into green. So all we need to do is keep our nose above this 50. It is sloping upwards, so our 50 right now is at 10,838. So if we can keep our nose above that, we are going to be seeing a beautiful bull run starting right here. The only thing to watch out for, just because we've had a couple of days down, our handoff is exactly at the tip of this, which is 11,200. The top of our candle is at about 11,075. So expect in the next couple of days to touch somewhere in here. It could just be a wick, but we will likely do a handoff off of this, and then we will be ready to go further north. This is what hodling looks like for those of you who are hanging on to your Bitcoin. So, first of all, Bitcoin began on Halloween of 2008. So we are officially coming up on the 12-year anniversary of the invention of Bitcoin. And a gentleman by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto created a white paper and explained, hey, I've got an idea of creating a digital cash, and I've figured out a strategy so that it can't be duplicated. When Bitcoin was first explained to me, I thought, well, anything digital can be copy and pasted, right? Like I can take someone's essay, copy it, and paste it, and all of a sudden I have two. So if somebody gives me a digital dollar, I should be able to electronically copy and paste that dollar a million times, and suddenly I have $1 million. So in my mind, I thought, if Bitcoin could be copy and pasted, then it would be worth nothing, and it would never be worth anything, because there would be so much supply that supply pressure would push down the demand down to nil. So when he explained it to me that he was selling it for $5, in my mind, my mouth was just dropped on the floor, and I said, you're kidding me. You have a digital currency that someone invented, and it's worth more than $1. Like that was all I needed to hear, because anything that was electronic and could be duplicated, there's no way. He had to have solved that problem, or nobody in their right mind would pay more than $1 for it. So that was sort of that was like the cue that switched the on switch for me. But so he had this great idea, and I think it went through some really, really nerd circles of, the people that were deep down into that nitty gritty, and they were like, oh, that's interesting. That's a fascinating idea. But then 3 months later, January 3rd of 2009, he all of a sudden he says, hey, I'm serious about this, and here's the software. He began running some software and started creating the first blocks of Bitcoin. So that's sort of where it began. And if you want to think about a digital currency, think about it this way. If you were to try to invent a brand new currency and you live anywhere in the world and it started getting any traction at all, what do you think governments would do? They would be like, you know what? There's only one group around here that makes money, and it is us. We have rules and laws for this. We don't need any old random citizen creating money out of thin air. This is going to stop right now. And in fact, before Bitcoin was in existence, there were some early prototypes and other coins that were invented. But the problem is that they were housed by a central authority. There was a central server where they were keeping track of who had how many units of this digital currency. And when the government found out about it, they went in and closed those servers down, and the money disappeared because it was all located in a central location. So what made the invention of Bitcoin so unbelievably monumental as far as a technology was that he created it in such a way that it was not centralized or controlled by a single individual. And this is absolutely incredible technology, because almost everything that we deal with, government, any company, there's always a this is where the buck stops. This is the final say. And at least with our government, we're blessed to have a balance of powers where there are at least 3 groups that sort of balance each other. It's sort of questionable whether that's true anymore. But at least there's some semblance of an uncentralized authority. But Bitcoin makes it digitally so. And I'll explain kind of how that works. But so you have to be able to overcome the ability of governments to shut it down. In order to understand how Bitcoin works, or at least how it sort of functions, is you have to understand what a Bitcoin wallet is. So the concept of a Bitcoin wallet, normally if you put money in your wallet, where's your money? It's in your pocket, right? Well, with the invention of Bitcoin, there is Satoshi Nakamoto invented a public ledger. And this public ledger is the method by which we can keep track of who has what. All right? So if I have $5 and Brian has $10, we don't have to walk over to Brian, open his pocket, and see $10 to verify that he has $10. And you don't have to come over to me and have me open my wallet and show you $5 to know that I have $5. Because this public ledger acts as sort of your Excel spreadsheet or your Google spreadsheets that everyone has a login and everyone can see exactly what's going on. The only thing is that nobody has a right to edit that information without the proper keys. And so we all have a ledger, and everybody can see how much money everybody has. It's pseudo-anonymous though, because rather than saying Brian $10, it says some random string of characters $10. And that's kind of how this works. But of course, it's Bitcoin, not dollars. But at any time, you can download the Bitcoin full node, and you can look in and see the current state of all of these random strings of characters, which represents public addresses, and then you can see the values that each of those address holds. So it is essentially a bank ledger that is public to everybody. Everybody can look at it, everyone can verify it, and everyone can see exactly where money is, how long it's been there, how frequently or how recently money has moved around, and you can see everything that is happening. So in the beginning, Bitcoin was considered to be anonymous because they thought they could never connect that random string of characters with people. But little did they know that was not the case. There are companies that are analysis companies that will figure out a very high probability that these same movements are linked to this person, and they can essentially pull back the pseudo-anonymous portion of that and see exactly what people have. So it's just another characteristic of Bitcoin. Yesterday, at the end of day, Bitcoin Cash finally exited the red zone. We are finally above the 50-day moving average, and this represents a fantastic opportunity to make some money. So for those that are new to the channel, usually whenever you exit the red zone, anywhere you kind of exit a solid red zone period of time, it's a decent buy. It's not necessarily going to be 100%. Usually there's a rise of some kind as we go, but it doesn't mean that you're going to make money immediately. But what it does mean is that usually the trends are in alignment, and it won't be too long before we start heading towards a green zone. When we get into a green zone, usually the exit is when we exit the green zone. So where we have Bitcoin Cash finally showing a little bit of life here, this is a great opportunity. So I would have taken a small position here. I would not have taken a position here because we already got a decent position at the same price level. But right here, we definitely take another position. And this one, what we do is we put a sell at break even right here. As we go up, we'll close this one, and this is the one we're writing. So exiting the red zone is where the money is made. I can't tell you how many times you can make some good money. Sometimes it takes patience though, so be aware that you could wait 6 months to a year or whatever, but these are great entrances. Cure. So Cure, you can see in the past when we exited the red zone here, it was explosive. This is not typical, but these smaller coins that have a thinner order books, they can really move when you get some people behind it. So entering here around 400, exiting at near double. You had 2 opportunities to exit near double. So these are not to be taken lightly. We are definitely above not only the 50-day, but the 50-week. So we're starting to turn these trends a little bit. So that's one to be aware of. And there's one that might close today out of the red zone. And it's another small one, CRW. We've kind of danced around for a while. So this, if you already entered here, then you don't need to re-enter, but this coin has been pretty flat, so you'll have to decide. But there are coins that you think are toast and they're flat and they haven't done anything for a long time, and then suddenly they move. One of those was a coin called Black Coin. I've traded this one in the past, and it just so happens that I had taken an entry right here actually. I was kind of lucky. But I went ahead, and whenever I see a coin that's doing 100% gains in a day, I'm exiting like crazy. So I've already exited 2/3, 3/4 of my position, but I captured some money at triple, which was pretty sweet. So keep your eyes open. There are opportunities, and especially now, things are really starting to turn. Bitcoin's looking really nice, and we've got a lot of coins that are going to follow suit. I see a lot of technicals showing a nice move across the board, so good luck in your trading, everybody. Hey, thanks for hanging on till the end of the video. If you liked anything I said, please support the channel by subscribing. If not, feel free to leave a comment and I'd be happy to take a look and make improvements to the channel so it'll be better next time.